This is KGW News at 11.
We begin tonight with breaking news. Police believe to have found the body of the Beaverton High School senior who drowned near Cannon Beach. Thank you for joining us. I'm Blair Best. Crews have been searching for him for about 10 days now. Police say a body was found early this morning washed up along the tide line at Tolovana, and they believe it's 18-year-old Jacob Stokes. On May 12th, he and a group of 3 friends went swimming near Tolovana Beach and got caught in a riptide. A spokesperson with the Cannon Beach Fire Department said 2 other students were able to get out on their own. Firefighters rescued a 3rd, but crews looked for Stokes for days. He was a senior at Mountainside High School in Beaverton and a member of the cross-country and track team. He was set to go to Oregon State in the fall. Officials are now waiting for a report from the medical examiner. Our other top story tonight, a missing man was found alive today after being rescued by firefighters in Cowlitz County. The 56-year-old man was reported missing 5 days ago. At 9:30 this morning, a 911 caller told authorities they saw tire tracks off the road on Sunset Way, and a small green truck was at the bottom of the hill. Sheriff's deputies confirmed the vehicle matched the description from the one of the missing man. Firefighters hiked down the hill through waist-deep brush, expecting the worst, but found the driver still alive.
We hauled the patient up in a Stokes basket and supported with a rope system to get all that. There was about 19 responders total on the scene to make this happen and get the gentleman up the hill.
Now, officials say the man was unable to communicate with first responders and was severely ill, so he was flown to a nearby hospital for emergency care. Now to the latest on the investigation into a massive apartment fire in Southwest Portland. Many people are still without a home after a fire destroyed the May Apartments on Southwest 14th and Taylor Street Tuesday morning. And as Daisy Caballero reports, fire crews are now using new technology to try and figure out the cause.
We're told this technology is something more agencies are working to learn and adopt right now.
We're taking our students from an entry level and teaching them to be professional pilots.
Scappoose Fire Chief Jeff Pritcher is leading a 2-week aviation course at Powell Butte Nature Park, teaching state government and land management agencies alongside law enforcement and fire officials how to fly drones and obtain their FAA commercial drones license and more.
Teaches them aeronautical decision-making, crew resource management, and safety management systems, which are the pillars of a successful aviation program.
Scappoose Fire has been flying drones since 2015. Since then, it created its aviation program, a first of its kind in Columbia County. And after the 2-week program, some students will go through additional training to obtain a waiver that will allow them to fly up to 1,200 feet compared to the 400 FAA limit across the entire state of Oregon.
Our goal is to build a trust climate with the crewed aviation community as well as the public, so they don't think we're just out here playing with toys.
Just this past week, Pritcher assisted Portland Fire with a drone to map out a 2D and 3D picture of the scene that will help investigators pinpoint where the May Apartments fire started. This is the 3D imagery they'll be providing on the May Apartments building.
And then we're going to do some very specific photos to help enhance one of the areas of interest that the fire investigators have.
Scappoose Fire used the same drone tech at the Portland Korean Church fire back in February, but it doesn't stop at commercial buildings. This new technology will soon help wildfire crews map out the perimeter of the fire and help direct water resources. They also expect to help investigators with major car crashes.
Portland Fire and Rescue says it will continue the investigation at the May Apartments through at least Wednesday, maybe even through the end of next week. The agency is planning to send an investigator inside the building to complete the scene examination on Tuesday. Daisy Caballero, KGW News.
While fire crews are preparing for this year's wildfire season, lawmakers are too. Earlier this year, Oregon Senator Ron Wyden and Idaho Senator Mike Crapo introduced a bill that would help reduce the risk of catastrophic wildfires in the West. The Wildfire Emergency Act provides the U.S. Forest Service with up to $250 million to increase preparedness and restoration efforts. Wyden says there's also an effort to get more funding for those on the front lines.
Making sure that firefighters get paid more. We've made some headway there, but even this week I'll be having town meetings across rural Oregon, and when I'm out in those communities I always see help wanted signs, and invariably those positions are paying more than firefighters. So we've got a lot more to do, and we're making progress.
The Wildfire Emergency Act now heads to the Senate for a reading. Well, as stations in rural fire districts around the state prepare for the wildfire season, they're also facing a major shortage of volunteers, like the Mohawk Valley Rural Fire District in Springfield. The fire chief there has been with the department for more than 20 years. He says 10 years ago, they had about 40 volunteers, and today they have less than half of that. Districts across the state say they're in a similar situation too. Well, let's turn now to your forecast. And Joe, we're seeing temperatures drop as we begin the work week.
Yeah, it felt kind of nice. We saw highs in the mid 60s. One of the cooler days we've seen so far this month. And we're going to be done with the heat that we've been seeing here the last 9-10 days or so. Right now, we're looking at a temperature of 57 degrees. Basically clear skies out there on your Sunday night. And temperatures are running about anywhere from almost 5-10 degrees cooler right now than they were yesterday. Of course, yesterday we saw our last day with temperatures 80 or above. Today we kind of broke that streak, I should say, and then even cooler on the eastern side of the state. But looking at the weather headlines, again, our streak of temperatures 80 or above is over. Now, so far this month, we've been seeing temperatures well above average, and that will continue heading into the middle part of the week. We should be seeing our temperatures close to 70 degrees this time of year. Yeah, it's going to be closer to the mid to the upper 70s here in just the next couple of days. But a cool and cloudy start to your work week. And again, a slight chance to see some light pockets of some sprinkles and a little bit of some drizzle the next couple of mornings. But heading into the later part of this week, things will start to improve, and that includes next weekend, the holiday weekend. I'll talk more about that in a few minutes.
All right, Joe, thanks so much. Well, the man suspected of killing 4 University of Idaho students is expected to be back in court tomorrow. Brian Coburger has been charged with 4 counts of murder. The 4 students were killed in a home off campus last year. Tomorrow's court appearance comes as we learn new details about the case. Now, sources told NBC that Coburger bought a knife on Amazon last May. It was the same type of knife police say was used in the November stabbings. Dateline also reported that Coburger's sister suspected him in the murders, partially because he drove the car police were searching for. Now, one law professor says it may be some time before the case goes to trial, and it's likely the defense will advocate for a change of venue.
One of the reasons to do a change of venue is not to find people who are absolutely unfamiliar with the case, but to perhaps find a location where they're less emotionally invested.
Also, before trial, the state must decide if they'll pursue the death penalty. Well, a Vancouver man is recovering after being assaulted in Esther Short Park. And it all happened after he came to help a volunteer who was being yelled at by a group of skateboarders. Art Edwards has the story.
You saved my life, but also I didn't want nothing to happen to you.
Daryl Bullock and volunteer Francisco Guerrero back together at Vancouver's Esther Short Park. On Tuesday, Guerrero was at the gazebo in the park. He was confronted by several teens when he tried to stop them from moving the sign and skateboarding on the gazebo. Bullock was there checking on homeless friends in the park.
I could see rapidly where it was going.
So he made his way to the gazebo and stepped in to help.
So I was just hoping to defuse it, but the reality is they had aggression in their hearts.
Bullock says he has some martial arts training. When the violence escalated, he tried his best to protect himself.
I'm really good at deflecting blows, and they swung at me over 40 or 50 times, but they only landed about 3 of them.
But that was enough to cause some serious injury.
I've got 7 staples in the back of my head, my arm. I can't straighten my arm out. My arm was swollen out like this, from 2 different hits with the skateboard.
Vancouver police are investigating, but so far have made no arrests. Bullock doesn't regret intervening.
You would do this again if this kind of a situation came up?
1,000 times over, absolutely.
He spent several hours at a hospital. A GoFundMe has been started for Bullock to help with medical bills. He says he'll donate money received that goes beyond the $10,000 goal. Art Edwards, KGW News.